Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. Today is an auspicious day. It's going to be a bit of a practice session, but look what I've got. I actually have sound system. Well, in theory, I've got a sound system here. So, this will, the furry bit, I forgot what they're called, dead cat or something like that. It will stop the wind noise. And there's even a breeze today, so that might even be provable today. I'm going to work out where's the best place to keep this thing. Right now I'm going to put it underneath my collar here and put this thing inside my suit so that the wires aren't in the way of my veil, and we'll see what happens. So I want to thank Eric Dambois, who's a customer, stopped in with his dad a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about bees, and I was giving him some bee advice, and we referred to the sound of my videos. Turned out he was an expert on video recording and sound recording up in Presque Isle. Is it University of Maine? I'm not sure which it was, and my apologies if I can't remember which it was, Eric. But thank you very much for that. Gave me some advice, pointed out the pieces that I was missing from my equipment, which was given to me months ago as a Christmas present by my son Matthew and daughter-in-law Hannah. And finally, I now have, hopefully, a sound system which won't ruin the quality of the videos I'm producing. So hopefully this will enhance it a little bit, and rain or shine, wind or calm, I should be able to do some decent sound on my videos. Anyway, back on to beekeeping. So anyway, today what I wanted to talk to you about was small hive beetles. I actually noticed in one of my hives a few days ago that I had a few small hive beetles in it. Now, small hive beetles, I'll show you hopefully in a minute. Well, actually, I hope I don't, but I noticed a few small hive beetles. It's something that we don't get very much in Maine. Here in Maine, they don't usually survive the winter particularly well. The way we usually get small hive beetles up here is people bringing colonies up from the south. And for my Italian bees, I occasionally have bees brought up that way, or packages. Occasionally are in a package, but most of them come into this state with the migratory beekeeping. We bring in about 40 to 50,000 honeybee colonies to pollinate blueberries here in Maine. And small hive beetles are a real pest in the southeast of the country. Those of you south of Washington probably know Washington DC, that is, know very well the problems with small hive beetles that we face down there. Fortunately, up here we have very little issue with them at the moment. The way the climate is evolving at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if we have much bigger issues in the future. We just need a couple of really mild winters in a row, and I think all of a sudden we're going to have a problem here. So it's always good for us, even up in Maine, to still have a understanding of how you deal with small hive beetles, at least in some ways. You can imagine the difficulty of dealing with an insect pest inside another insect colony. It's not as if you can poison that insect without damaging your own bees, but they have different behavioral characteristics that we can take advantage of to trap small hive beetles. And there are a number of different ways that you can get small hive beetles, but I'm going to show you one way that will hopefully help rid this colony of small hive beetles. It's called a beetle trap. Basically, I'm going to put a little bit of vegetable oil inside this little well. So it'll sit inside this little well here, maybe a 1/4 inch deep. And the beetles, which are really only about a 1/4 of an inch, are always trying to find somewhere to hide. And so they're going to try and hide and go into these holes where the honeybees can't get at them. And they fall into the oil and die. So anyway, what we're going to do first of all is we're going to go into the colony and see if I can see any. Normally when you open a colony that has small hive beetles, the first place you're going to see them is immediately under the either on the inner cover or immediately under the inner cover, because they will take advantage of the small spaces between the tops of the frames and the covers. They go around the edges, anywhere they can hide from the bees. So a colony that has too much space in it relative to the number of bees is going to be most vulnerable to small hive beetles. Generally speaking, a good, strong colony will be able to keep small hive beetles under control. At least up here, the number of small hive beetles we get will be small enough that your colony should be able to keep them under control. But in times like the dearth, or in times midsummer, sometimes we may over super. In other words, put too much honey storage space up in the top of the hive. That gives the beetles all sorts of places to hide. Then what they do is they're going to seek out areas in the colony where they can get hold of the pollen, the stored pollen, and they'll eat the pollen, they'll eat the bee larvae. The larvae of the small hive beetle will burrow through that, and they will eat it up. They'll actually destroy the comb to such an extent that the combs start to collapse and honey is literally running out the front of the hive. A really bad infestation can totally physically destroy the hive as well as kill the bees, in effect. Now, personally, I only know of 2 people in this region that have ever lost a colony to small hive beetle. One lived right next to blueberry barrens, where thousands of colonies were taken away, leaving behind perhaps many thousands of small hive beetle, which then descended on the nearest unfortunate beekeeper. She had to become a real expert in dealing with small hive beetles on a regular basis in that location. And the other person that lost bees to small hive beetle brought up a colony from, I think it was Virginia or West Virginia, and it had lots of small hive beetles in it already. So be warned, that's the way you can get them. Hopefully we'll actually see 1 or 2 in this colony in order to know what we're looking for. So let's go and have a look. I'm hoping this sound system continues to work, as if it doesn't, I'll miss out on this entire video. The problem with the sound system is I've got 3 battery operated devices, the video camera and the microphone receiver and the microphone transmitter, and the problem there, if any one of those batteries run out, I'm in trouble. So with this colony, before it was a couple of 2 or 3 stories high, I can't remember exactly, which is when I found the small hive beetles, and that was relatively large volume for the size colony that it was. And in fact, as a first course of action, what I did was I stripped it down so that it was at a higher density of bees relative to the volume of the box. And in hindsight, I decided I wanted to make a video about it, and given that I did that, it may have been a mistake. So I should have done that rather than do it right there on the spot. When I found the small hive beetles, what I should have done is come out and started recording so I could show it, because the bees may have already taken care of the small hive beetles already. So I'd actually forgotten that I'd consolidated this hive. I just thought, small hive beetles, I'll make a video about it. Anyway, so what I'd done was I concentrated this colony down into a smaller volume. Let's see if there's any beetles in it. Let's see if we can see any small hive beetles in here. Now this colony has been altered. I forgot I altered this one, and so it should be a relatively high number of bees relative to its volume now, but we'll see. Oh, you know what? These bees have taken care of the small hive beetles. They are gone now. Because I thinned it down, I really reduced the size of the colony. And what do you know? The small hive beetles are well under control. Now, an interesting thing here is I should have used smoke today. The The bees are all over the camera right now because I haven't used smoke. It's first thing in the morning and they're mobbing the camera because it's black. That's why the camera tends to get a lot of bee noise around it. But the microphone in my veil, the bees can't get anywhere near. And so, as a result, hopefully this will be a real test of the sound system, if not a video that's going to take care of looking for dealing with small hive beetles. So, sorry about the small hive beetle issue. I'm just going to put this sugar syrup back on, and these bees are good to go. These bees are doing fine. Just check some of these others just in case I had any small hive beetles in any of these. Because they can travel from one hive to another. Small hive beetles can fly. So we'll check just to see if any of these others have a small hive beetle in them. Nope. One last colony to check. Otherwise I think we're wasting our time looking for small hive beetles because I haven't seen any in any other hive. Nope. Okay, we are good. We are beetle free. That's nice. Well, we're not going to have to worry about them, but I'll show you, what the hell. I will show you how I would deal with a colony with small hive beetles anyway, because we may as well do that at the very least. Okay, so first of all, take the cover off. We're going to make a space in in the area of the colony which is least well defended. So we're going to open up a bit of a gap here. So this is a colony next to where we had small hive beetles, but we don't appear to have any, at least anymore. I think the bees have cleared them out, which is what you really want anyway. So we've just put this beetle trap here, tucked away towards the back of the colony, and the beetles will try and hide in these spaces here. And now what we'll do, get some of that oil, just have to set this down because I can't turn the lid at the same time as I do this. Here's the oil. I'm trying to be really careful that I don't spill it anywhere in the hive. I'm going to put it down in there. And your hive wants to be fairly level as well for this job. And just to show you what's in here now, there's oil that's about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch deep, and vegetable oil, even if it did spill in the colony, is not going to do a great deal of harm except on exactly where it lands. Now, underneath this cover, if there were any small hive beetles, because bees are always trying to rid the colony of small hive beetles, so they chase them out. But the small hive beetle will look for little gaps that the bees can't get under, and now there's that little space where they could potentially hide. As I say, this colony didn't have any small hive beetles that I knew of, but there might be the odd one hanging around here, and who knows, maybe we'll trap one or two out. But if I see some, I'll make another video about it. In the meantime, that's it. Anyway, this recording may not do much about showing you anything about small hive beetles, because I apparently don't have them anymore. But what hopefully it does do is give some thanks and a shout out to Eric Damboys, who helped me with my sound system. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer, and hopefully you folks will enjoy some better sound in the future. See you next time.